All right, so this is a video going over the homework assignment. It's a little tricky. Feel free to skip past the questions that you're confident in, but I wanted to explain how to do all of them for those of you that missed some. Okay, so question 1. Assume the following declarations have been made. Final int max equals 15. Int bracket bracket list equals new int max. So we have a array of 15 elements, but the number of elements doesn't really matter. So we really want to know, what is this doing? Okay, so with these, what I normally did was I just kind of made up an array, and I didn't use 15 elements. I used fewer than that because we can tell what's happening with fewer. I just tried to fill it with random numbers. So here's 3, 5, 4, and 2. And let's keep track of our indices. We're using K for indexes. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. Let's see what happens. So when K is 0, if list bracket 0, so 3, is greater than list bracket 1, it's not, so nothing happens. Okay, now K is 1. If list bracket 1 is greater than list bracket 2, which it is, so T gets saved as list bracket 1, which is 5. List bracket 1 gets set equal to list bracket K plus 1. So this spot gets set equal to whatever this spot is, which is 4. And then list bracket K plus 1 equals T. So this is now 5. So what just happened? Yeah, get used to seeing this code. You've seen it a few times this year already as swapping. It's swapping what's in list K and list K plus 1. Okay, so now K is 2. Is this number greater than the number here? It is. So what do? We swap it. This becomes 2. This becomes 5. And I have to stop there because I have to go less than max minus 1. So max is the number of elements, which is 4. So I have to go less than 3 in this case. All right, so let's see which one works. Is this list in ascending order? Is it going up? Nope. Is it in descending order? Is it going down? Nope. Is the original list reversed? Nope, because 3 is still there. Is the largest number in the last index? So again, max is the number of elements. So if I look at the last index, is the largest number there? Yup. So this one's right so far. And E says the smallest number is located there, and that's not true. So the only thing that works is D. So with these trickier theoretical questions, make up your own array and then just see which one works. Sometimes you might get the 2 of them work. If 2 of them work, you might have to make up another random list and see then which one works. Okay, that's number 1. So number 2, I'm going to kind of do the same thing. Consider the following method. So I have a method, and I want to know basically what's the post condition. So I want to know what's the method doing. So it's taking an integer array. So let's make up one again. Let's just say I'm using, well, let's see what I should make up. Let's read through our answers. Hello returns true if A is ascending, false otherwise. Returns true if A is descending, false otherwise. Sorted in any order. So it's talking a lot about ascending and descending. So let's first do an ascending example. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an ascending array because it's going up. Ascending means going up. So this is space 0, 1, 2, 3. Those are my indices again. Okay, so n equals a dot length. So the length here would be 4. Right now, t is true. It's a Boolean. So I start with k equals 0. If the current spot is less than the spot before it, I'm going to make t equal to false. So is the current spot less than the one before it? Yup. So this becomes false. And then k is 1. Is this less than that spot? Yup. So it stays false. There's no way to turn it back to true. So once it becomes false, it's going to stay false. So if it's an ascending order, it's going to be false. Okay, is that enough to answer it? Hello returns true if it's in ascending order. Well, nope, it didn't. It returned false, so A is out. Hello returns true if it's in descending order, false otherwise. That might be true. Hello returns true if A is sorted in any order, false otherwise. That doesn't really make sense. True if it's sorted in any order. Well, here it's sorted in ascending order and it did not return true, so C's out. Returns false if it's in ascending order. That's true. True otherwise, so it could be D. So basically it looks like I need to figure out descending. Let's try a descending example. So 5, 4, 3, 2. Now think about what happened. It only changes to false if the current spot is less than the spot after it. Is that ever going to happen? Is the current spot ever going to be less than the spot after it? No. So this is going to stay true. So does it return true if it's in descending order? Yes. D is out because it doesn't return false. I'm sorry. E is out because it does not return false if it's in descending order. So I'm still down to B and D. So the question is, does it only return true if it's in descending order? And does it only return false if it's in ascending order? Well, think about it. The only way this is going to ever be false if a current spot is less than the spot next to it. That means the only way it's never going to change to false is if this is always bigger than this. This is always bigger than this. This is always bigger than this. So the answer is actually B. The only way it returns true is if it's in descending order. If it's ever out of order at all, where one of the numbers is bigger than the one or smaller than the one after it, it's going to be false. Okay. This one's a tricky one. Refer to the following code segment. ARR is an array of integer values. So we've got sum starts at whatever the first spot is. Let's make it up again. 2, 5, 1, 4. I don't know. I'm trying to make it random. So sum is going to start at A bracket 0. So sum is going to be initialized to 2 for my example. It's going to start I at 0, while I is less than array.length. What's array.length for my example? 4. So while I is less than 4, we're going to go up by 1. So now it's 1. Sum plus equals array of 1. So now this is plus 5, 7. 1 is still less than the length, so go up. Sum plus equals array bracket 2. Now this is 8. 2 is still less than the length, so I go up again. Sum plus equals array bracket 3. So go up by 4, we get 12. But now when I'm here, 3 is still less than 4. So I go in the while loop again, and I go up to 4. And what's the problem? There is no array bracket 4. So that's a runtime error. As I'm running this program, I'm going to run into an issue that's going to cause my array to go out of bounds. It's not an infinite loop. That would just mean this goes on and on forever. There's no way to get out of it, and there is a way to get out of it. But it's not going to give me a sum. So it's not going to give me an error when I write the code, but it's going to give you an error when you try to run it. So that's E. Okay. Last multiple choice. It's an annoying one. Don't you love when a multiple choice is a full page? Consider the following incomplete reverse array method. So we've got an array, and they want us to flip it. They give us a K, they give us the length of the array. Here's the program segment. Which of the following program segments, when inserted in the body of reverse array, will correctly satisfy the requirements of it? Okay, so let's make some examples. Here's an array. Let's call it 5, 3, 6, 1. Again, I'm just making up random numbers here. Here's my indices, 0, 1, 2, 3. So for this one, k is going to start at 0. What's n? Remember, n is list.length, so the length of mine here is 4. Looks like a lot's going on here. Now, the indices are a little weird, but what is this code accomplishing? Swapping again. So temp for this first one starts at list bracket 0. So temp is 5. Now list bracket 0, this spot is going to equal list bracket n minus 1, so that's 3 minus 0. So 3. So it's going to set this spot equal to 1 and then set the n spot equal to temp. So if my goal is to reverse the array, we're off to a good start. Okay, now k is 1. Temp equals list bracket 1. So I'm saving 3. N minus 1 is 3. Minus 1 is 2. So list bracket 1 is equal to list bracket 2. And list bracket 2 is equal to the temp. Now notice right now it's reversed. The problem is this keeps going. Now k is 2. It's going to go up until k is 3. So when k is 2, what happens? Temp is equal to list bracket 2, which is now 3. List bracket 2, so this one's changing again, is going to equal n minus 1, which is 3, minus k of 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. It's going to equal this spot. So this is going to be 6. And this spot's going to be 3. What's just happened? It reversed them again. And then when k is 3, it's going to reverse these two again. And I end up right back where I started. So this reverses it, but then we'll switch back. So 1 is bad because it goes too far. It will switch back. Now, if you notice, the insides of all of these are the exact same. So it's doing the swapping. First with the last, then the next two, etc. The only thing that's changing is how far it's going. No one's going too far. Between 2 and 3, it's going to go, with my example, this one's going to go k is less than n divided by 2. K is less than 2. So this will only run for k being 0 and 1. This says k is less than or equal to 2 with my example. So k will run with 0, 1, and 2. Which one did I want? Well, if you remember what I just did, when k was 0 and 1, when k was 0, it switched the first and the last. When k was 1, it switched the middle two. But when k was 2, it switched these middle two back. So this one goes 1 too far again. 2 is the only one that'll work. So this is 2 only. So you can kind of see the theme with answering these array question multiple choices is to make an example and use that example in your answer. Okay, now the short answer. The double letter pairs. Double letter pair means the same letter happens in a row. So if this was my character array, which is kind of like a string, the first double letter pair is A, the second one is C. Okay, so part A, right method double position is stated below. Double position should find the first double letter pair in the array S and should return the position of the first of the two letters. So the first position of the two letters gets returned. If S does not contain any double letters, it returns -1, because that's kind of a safe thing to mean not there. So think about if my array was happy. We would have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my double letter pair, and the first letter starts at space 2. In aardvark, the first double letter starts at space 0. This one has 2 double letter pairs, but the first double letter pair starts at space 0. This has no double letters, so that's why I get -1. So there's my examples. Complete this method. Assume double position is called only when values satisfy its preconditions. So you don't have to worry about guarding against this only contains lowercase letters. Returns the position of the first letter of the first double letter pair. Okay, so let's think about how to do this. I basically need to go through the array until I find that one spot is equal to the spot next to it. How do I go through an array? With a for loop. I want to start at the beginning. So for int I equals 0. For now, I'm going to say I is less than not s dot length because the array is called s, so be careful of that. I is less than s dot length. No double parentheses when we're talking about arrays. I minus minus, or plus plus, sorry. And what are we looking for? We're looking for if the current spot is equal to the spot next to it. So if s bracket I, the current spot, is equal, double equals, to the spot next to it. If that's true, we've found a double letter pair, and I want to return the position where the first double letter is. So that'd be the position I'm at. So with something like this, when you want to return the first instance of something, in this case it's I, return right in your for loop. Don't try to make another variable because you don't want to keep going. Once you found one, stop, return it, be done. Now there's one issue. Anytime you start messing with the index values, so I'm not just using I, I'm using I plus 1 here, I got to be really careful I don't go out of bounds. So get used to this. If you have a plus 1 inside a bracket, in your for loop, account for that. We can only go to s dot length minus 1 because we can't go out of bounds. Okay? So in other words, if this is my array, instead of getting to this spot where I have to check the spot after it that doesn't exist, I only want to get to that spot. That's what this minus 1 will make sure happens. All right, now what should go outside of the for loop? What happens if I never find a double letter pair? Then we return negative 1. So in some ways, if you remember insertion sort, it's kind of like the find position method. As soon as I find the position I care about, I return it. If I never find the position, I return what would happen in that case. Okay. B. Right method move left. Move left should move the characters in that array S in positions starting from whatever K is through the end, one place to the left, overwriting the character in position K minus 1. Assume that as specified in move left precondition, the value of K is an integer from 1 to 1 less than the length. Note that this makes S one character shorter than it was originally. In writing move left, you may make use of the resize method provided below. You don't have to write this method, but you can use it for your use. So resize basically takes an array and a new length, and it resizes that array to whatever length you tell it to be. It just chops off the end of it. That's what truncated means. So like, if I give you move left S1, I'm thinking, okay, I'm starting with A, B, C, D, E. And this is space 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So starting from space 1, I'm going to take this all the way to the end and move it over. So B comes on top of A, C comes on top of B, D comes on top of C, E comes on top of D, and then I have an E left at the end still because nothing went on top of this. But then when I resize it, it's going to truncate it to one less than that size and just chop off what was at the end. And that's how I get left with this. All right, let's do one more example. If I had this one here, again, I'm starting with A, B, C, D, E. And this example is telling me starting from space 3, which is the D, I'm going to move that over, move that over. So now my array would look like A, B, D, E, E. And then when I resize the method, it's going to take the first 4 and chop off the end to give me that. Complete the method move left below. Assume move left is called only when the values satisfy its precondition. Okay, so to move left, I'm starting from this spot. Think about what I did. So starting from the spot that I'm given, I set the spot before it equal to the spot after it. Okay, that's how when I started with spot 3 here, the spot before it equaled that spot. So do a for loop again. But this time your for loop is going to start at whatever spot I tell it to. Okay. For now, I'm going to still go less than s.length. We'll see if we have to deal with that later. It's kind of like the shift method from insertion sort. We're going to set the spot before k, so s bracket, oops, not k, got to use I, because it's got to be changing. S bracket I minus 1 equals the current spot. The spot before it equals the current spot. Now, I did mess with my array a little bit. I did an I minus 1. Is that going to go out of bounds? Well, it would if k was ever 0, but notice k can't be 0. So there's no problem in my for loop. I'm not going to go out of bounds as long as the precondition holds, which it says I'm allowed to assume. Okay, now at the end, I have to use this resize method, and it said to use it, don't necessarily need to know how it works. So to use it, I just have to call the method resize, and it's written in the same class, so I don't need an s1 dot or anything like that. And look at what you have to send it. You have to send it the array, which is called s, and you have to send it a length. I want the length to be 1 less than what it was originally, so how would I get that? Well, since I have no idea how big the array is originally, I can just use s.length minus 1. Then I know it's 1 less than what it was originally. Okay, and that's that method. All right, last one. Right method, remove doubles. Remove doubles should find all double letter pairs in S and convert them to single letters by moving all the characters to the right of the double letter pair 1 space to the left, making S 1 character shorter each time. So it's essentially removing the double letters, but it's saying it's moving everything to the left. So if I start with happy, think about what I could do. I could use my double position method to figure out where the double letter is. So double position, if I use double position, what would that give me here? It would give me 2. If you remember how that method worked, it returned where the first double position happened. Then I want to remove essentially one of these, and it does that by moving all the characters to the right of the double letter pair 1 space to the left. So if I move this P on top of this one, this Y on top of that P, then this would look like HAPY with an extra Y on the end. And then I could truncate it and chop off that extra end. So that's why it says I can use double position and move left. I can use double position to find where I need to move left, and then I can shift everything left. This shifting and truncating is what move left did. So this is actually a pretty short method because I can use the code I already wrote, use the methods you already wrote. First, what I would need to do is figure out where that double position is. So I'm going to call the method double position. So int double position is equal to the method called double position. And if you flip back to that, double position only needed the array. So the array is called S, so send it S. There's that. Now, what happens if there's no double positions? This would give us -1. So if this is -1, I don't want to do anything. However, if there's multiple double letters, I want to keep removing them all. So we need a while loop. So while double position is not equal to -1, we want to move left. So call the move left method. Now here's the one trick. Move left, remember, whatever number I gave it, it took that value and shifted it onto the one over here. Double position gives me the first spot. So I don't want to move P onto A. I want to move the second P onto the first P. So move left is going to take the array, but the position I want to move on to the other one is the one after what double position gives me. So we got to move double position plus 1 over. Like that. Oops, and I guess I should say I call it double position. Gotta be consistent with what I called things. All right, now the other thing I need to do is I need to re-find double position. So now, is there still a double letter? So set double position equal to double position S again. Now it'll look at that new truncated array and see if there's still a double letter. If there is, it'll do this process again. If not, it'll be done. Now, just as a side note, some of you may have done it without making this extra variable. You could just say while double position S, while the answer to that method is not equal to -1, we're going to move left on array S from the spot that double position gives us. So I got to call that method again, +1. That's exactly equivalent to what I wrote in red. So either way, that does the same thing. And that's kind of tricky, and I know that's tricky. This is a typical AP question. So this is probably a little bit above a level that I would put on a test this year, but it's what the AP would be looking at. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. If you still have questions, feel free to talk to me so we can go over them.